Welcome to that Groovy Scoobcast.
Your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo.
Currently, we're trapped on Alcatraz Island.
Again.
But not to worry, Shannon. I suspect that this strange boat-like shape underneath this tarp is really a boat.
Keen logic, Derek.
Thank you for joining us again, guys.
Welcome.
You don't sound enthused to be here at all.
I'm not feeling well today.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But we're here. We're having fun.
We're here to talk about what's new Scooby-Doo today. Are you excited to be returning to this show?
I'm excited to be returning to Alcatraz, that's for sure.
This is the second time we're visiting Alcatraz.
I don't know why they keep coming back.
Because they also kind of had like a prison that was based on Alcatraz in the Be Cool Scooby-Doo episode we watched last season.
So technically, this might be their third time back.
Well, I mean, it wasn't explicitly said it was Alcatraz, but it was kind of Alcatraz.
It was close enough.
Well, the episode we're watching today is called The San Franpsycho. It was psycho.
It was something.
But before we get too carried away talking about this episode, we are going to kick off our Mystery Machine match, our weekly Scooby-Doo trivia competition where we try to figure out which one of us knows Scooby-Doo better than the other. Are you feeling optimistic again?
I'm hoping.
Yeah, you're always hoping.
I am. This one, I think you're going to get at least one wrong. So if I can get all three of mine right, then maybe I can get a little headway.
Currently, our points sit with me with 15 points and you with 12.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you get 3 and I get none, we're tied.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen unless you left your brain in bed this morning.
It's possible. It's a Saturday and I have so much to do today. I'm not even mentally here right now.
We're both in our homes dying, but we're actually right here podcasting.
It's great.
Yeah, it's lovely. We're here.
Well, without further speculation, as always, Shannon, you can go first.
Franken Castle, according to the episode A Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts, is the only castle ever imported from what creepy part of the globe? It's worded weird. Do you want me to help you a little bit?
I don't really even remember the episode. Like, I know what episode it is from Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Was it from, like, Scotland?
No.
No? Where was it from?
Transylvania.
I should have gotten that.
That's why I was like...
I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not getting that one.
They worded it weird, like a creepy part of the globe, like Transylvania is, like, really Dracula's lair. So, I don't know. It was weird.
Okay. Well, here's your first question. Where is the gang vacationing in The Fiesta Host is an Aztec Ghost?
Mexico?
You're right.
Okay.
Awesome. What's your next question?
This is the one I don't think you're going to get.
Oh, really? Okay.
The soundtrack to the Scooby-Doo movie was released by Lava Atlantic or Pacific Records.
Atlantic?
Yeah.
Was it Atlantic?
Yeah.
That was a guess.
I know. That's why I was like, you're going to guess it. It's going to be 50-50. But I was like, yeah.
Well, actually, my question's also about the Scooby-Doo movie.
Lovely.
What punk band sang Scooby-Doo, Where Are You for the Scooby-Doo movie? Green Day or MXPX?
MXPX?
You are right.
Okay. I feel like I would have been a lot more hyped for it if it would have been Green Day.
You would have known about it.
Yeah.
What's your last question today?
What is the name of the prophet the gang meets up with in That's Snow Ghost? Is it Fu Chin Lee or My Pow?
I think it's... oh no. I think he was from Thailand, I think. Was it the first name? The Fu Chin Lee?
Yeah.
Was it that one? Okay. I just remembered that he was from Thailand. That's all I remembered about the character.
Good luck.
Okay, here's your last question. Fill in the first name of a prime suspect in many of Scooby-Doo Detective Agency's cases. Blank herring.
Red.
You are right.
Oh.
Well, it looks like today with our finishing tallies, I finished with 17 and you with 15.
I closed the gap a little bit.
You did. So you caught up with 1 point.
Woohoo!
So you're getting there.
You just have to do that 2 more times.
Yeah. So you ready to start talking about the San Franpsycho, Shannon?
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right, here is our premise today, coming from Scoobypedia for the San Franpsycho. The gang goes to the grind games in San Francisco to meet an old friend who is participating. However, they soon find out that the games are being terrorized by a former Alcatraz inmate, the San Franpsycho.
I want you to say the gang goes to the grind games like 4 times fast. Because I can't even do it once.
The gang goes to the grind games. The gang goes to the grind games. The gang goes to the grind games. The gang goes to the grind games.
All right, good job.
I did it.
Like, as you were saying it, I was like, that could be a tongue twister.
It wasn't as hard. I want you to try it now.
I couldn't even do it once.
Try it.
The gang goes to the grind gangs. See, nope. I'm not.
You gave up.
I'm in no
position to be doing
to be doing tongue twisters today.
You're sick. We'll try this next
dying.
Week. So, like the premise says, the gang is in San Francisco. They're meeting a friend that, you see, the friend seems
young.
A lot younger than them. Like, if I were to put an age to them, the gang feels like I feel like they're in their, like, middle 20s, in my opinion.
I'd say, like, yeah.
And Ryan seems like he's 15 years old.
Maybe.
How do they know him?
I think that, like, the last time they were in Alcatraz. But my thing, no, because that was even, like, a million years ago. He would have been, like, 6.
Well, that and, I mean, What's New Scooby-Doo is definitely not canon to the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show.
So?
I'm just saying that those are probably different universes. They probably did not visit Alcatraz twice. We are, but they're not. This is their first time going to Alcatraz.
I don't know. I assume, like, maybe fans write to the gang, and so maybe he was, like, maybe he's been writing them since he was little. And then now he's, like, a famous skateboarder, and they were like, let's go visit our friend. I don't know.
It's just strange.
It's weird.
It was the first thing I questioned, like, when we first met the kid. I'm just like, how do they know each other? And why do they know each other?
It was weird.
Before we actually see their interaction, we do open up to the opening party of the grind games. I love the name. Mm-hmm. It's the most unoriginal name I've ever heard.
Well, and immediately, like, before you know that Ryan is friends with the gang, you find out, like, Ryan's decently famous at skateboard.
Yeah, he's one of the participants in the game.
They announce his name a lot cooler than they announce anybody else's.
Right, and the guy that's, like, you know, hosting the grind games, which I'm just going to say right now, whenever I hear grind games, I'm thinking of it like a competition of gay men who met on Grindr.
I was similarly thinking that.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what it is. It's just that's where I go to mentally when I hear that name.
It just sounds dirty.
Like, what game are you playing?
Yeah.
The grind games.
The grind games. Yeah. No, it just, like, it really sounds like something from, like, Tinder, Grindr, like...
It's just strange. I don't know.
It sounds dirty.
But the guy that's hosting it is super hype.
He's really excited to be there.
So excited to be there. He introduces Ryan. Ryan does, you know, a skateboarding trick.
Not very good.
It didn't really seem that impressive. I mean, I have never been good at skateboarding, so it's better than what I could do, but...
He doesn't do a trick. He just, like... I don't remember what it's called, like the ramp. He just rides the ramp and then he's done. Like, it's not like he does a flip or anything like that. Like, he
didn't do a spin in the air or anything like that.
He rides the ramp and then he's done. And they were like, oh my God!
It didn't seem all that impressive.
No.
Now, the other guy that followed up, his name was Rich...
Girlie?
His name was Rich Girlie. That's, I guess, the name that he's going by. I'm not sure if that's his real name.
I hope so.
You hope it's his real name? Well, he follows up after Ryan. He does a pretty cool trick. He, you know, does a flip in the air, and then he comes back down. He goes up back to where he was on the ramp, and then just flies into the air.
And never comes back.
That was never explained.
No, we never see him again.
Because, the host is like, whoa, he's getting really good air. And everyone's just like, whoa. And then the skateboard just falls from the sky. But the kid is gone. Rich Girlie is gone.
He's dead.
We never see him again. It's never explained.
He's dead.
Because, the whole mystery is that the San Franpsycho is, attacking the skateboarder participants. But it doesn't say anything about him, kidnapping them or, making them disappear.
Yeah.
But this kid disappeared. I don't think that's related to the San Franpsycho. I think the kid just floated into space.
He got really good air.
But after he disappears and the skateboard comes down, everyone's just kind of concerned. And then the San Franpsycho appears out of nowhere. And he just kind of screamed, and then everyone went into chaos, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in Scooby-Doo, the Monster of Mexico, when the one guy was just like, "I'll chupacabra," and then everything just went to shit. That's kind of what happened here.
Like they knew what was going on.
To describe the San Franpsycho for you, so it's a normal-looking man. He has green skin, red eyes.
He kind of reminds me of, Voldemort from the books.
Okay, kinda, yeah. He is wearing, inmate garb, you would expect with a prisoner from Alcatraz. He's supposed to be a ghost of someone who escaped from Alcatraz.
He has a hook for a hand.
Yeah, one of his hands, I don't remember which one. One of them is a hand.
I think it was his right hand.
And he had some seaweed on him, too, just to kind of represent that he was, killed in the ocean, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was stupid, because in the little flashback that we get, it looks like he was eaten by a shark. And then, he has seaweed on him.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm okay.
But like I said, he just kind of screams and comes out of nowhere, and the entire competition just goes into utter fucking chaos.
Everyone knew what was going on. They were like, we've seen him before.
We never see Rich Girlie again. This guy just ruins the competition the first night. I'm not coming back.
No.
It's not even because of the San Franpsycho. It's because that kid is gone.
If I had bought tickets for the entire weekend, I'd be selling my tickets. I'm not going back. I want a refund.
We now listen to, the theme song for What's New Scooby-Doo. I always sing along to it.
I like it.
I love this theme song. So now the episode begins again with the gang. They've now arrived at the Grind Games. They've met with Ryan. Ryan's kind of showing them around. As they're coming into the area, the gang gets promptly searched by the security that's going on there.
So they do the wands.
Oh, the metal detectors, yeah.
And when they go down on Fred with the wand, he jumps, and the wand is out of screen.
Oh, and it goes off screen down towards his crotch area.
So it they went down to his crotch, and he goes, "Oh!" And we were like, "What the fuck did he just do? Did he just molest Fred?"
I think it's just silly how these monsters, kind of like in the Gold Monster episode, where whenever the monster attacks, security is just beefed up. High key.
And this time, don't worry, guys. They beefed up security, so no more whack stuff happens.
Fred responds saying, "We'll also keep an eye out for anything whack."
That right there shows you that he's in his mid-20s. Because as a person who's we're slowly entering our mid-20s and we don't understand the new lingo. So, that really shows the age difference.
Well, that, and it also kind of dates this show a little bit, too.
Yeah, with whack.
When the rest of the security were, examining everybody else, one of the guys was patting down Shaggy, and Shaggy describes it as being a Swedish massage. It was supposed to relieve his stress. He felt a lot less stressed from that.
Understandable.
I think it's because of the trauma that he had from seeing those yellow balloons in the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo episode.
Oh my god.
That really stressed him out, Shannon.
I'm stressed.
Ryan leads them, past security, and they almost walk into this group that passes them. It's called, according to Ryan, the Red Persons Group. It's a street art performance group. They all wear red clothes and they have makeup that makes their skin and their hair all look red.
Which we find out later they just dump red paint on themselves.
I just love their name.
The Red People Group.
The Red Persons Group.
The Red Persons Group. Like, it's just...
I have to look something up real quick.
It's just so much.
Oh, it was called the Red Persons Troupe, not Group.
Oh.
But, like, what even is this? They're mad because I guess the grind games are taking place on some park or ground that they usually perform on. My thing is, like, how can you be mad at them? It was probably, like, the city permits that were like, hey, we're gonna grant the weekend to this group. Like, you can't have a reservation on this place all year round.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're paying for it.
Which I doubt they are.
No, like this, I assume these people are like, I mean, technically it'd be considered like protesting because you're there performing without a permit. But like, I assume that they're there without a permit every single weekend. So if somebody goes, takes the time, pays for the permits, gets all their stuff there, shut the fuck up.
Right, like they're legally here. They are allowed to be here.
Who are you?
But Ryan describes Hayes, the leader of the group. I love his name. His name is Hayes Ferlinguini.
I hate him.
He apparently is just a really weird guy, according to Ryan.
If you look him up on Scoobypedia?
Yeah.
His profile picture or whatever is literally him standing there with a saw in his hand, which is like a screenshot from when he got busted trying to saw down a ramp. Like, the dude's just... He may not be our villain, our specific villain, but he is a villain.
He's literally a red herring.
He's literally... quite literally a red herring.
So the competition for the day begins. The gang's in the audience, and they see the judges, and Ryan goes on. He, is skating all across the, I don't know what you call it, the field?
Park? I don't know.
I don't know the terms, the lingo for skateboarding.
I know, like, ramp, double kickflip.
Half pipe?
Maybe. I think that might be another ramp.
Whatever they
We're
are...
Scooby experts. We're not skateboarding experts.
Whatever they're doing or wherever he's on, he wipes out. Like,
whatever he's doing, he's not doing it well.
Ryan falls off his skateboard, wipes out, and like he doesn't even attempt to like redo it or finish what he was doing. He just leaves. Like,
he literally goes, "Yeah, aw man," and then grabs his skateboard and leaves.
But then the judges
give him a 10, an 8.5, and an 8.
The person who gave him a 10 is this girl who, from what we understand, because she like wrote it in a heart, didn't she?
Yeah, she's in love with him.
She loves Ryan. I love how lenient this judge panel is. Like, can you imagine them being the hosts of that Groovy Scoobcast?
Well, like,
everything would be getting a 9.
like my thing is, I don't watch, like, skateboarding competitions and all that, so I don't know how those work.
Like the standards of what they judge on.
But, like, Dancing with the Stars, if you fall and you, like, walk off stage, like, you're going home next week. You can't recover from that. When you fall, you have to get back up and keep going. I'm pretty sure that's how it is with skateboarding, too, unless you, like, severely hurt yourself, and that's something different. But he was able to, like, grab a skateboard and walk off. So, like, you're getting zeros. You're not coming back next week.
I averaged out his score. He got, like, an 8.8. That's like a B+.
Like, Ryan.
He wiped out.
Ryan, everything I have seen you do has sucked.
He's not a good skateboarder. Like, why are you in this competition?
I don't know why you're famous.
While the gang is watching the competition, this guy, he's on a cart, like a bike cart. He rides up, and his name is Julian. He basically takes people on little tours around San Francisco and the area, and he basically knows everything there is to know about San Francisco, and kind of just anything. He gives them a freebie. He tells the gang that, fun fact, little known fact, is that the fastest speed ever recorded on a skateboard is 63 miles per hour.
Also, did you know that the first tourists were in 1828?
In San Francisco?
I don't know. He just said the first tourists. I'm going to say probably in San Francisco.
He accidentally just gave them a second freebie, and then he crashes into a popcorn cart.
Yeah.
Cool.
That happens.
After that, there's this girl. She's also in the competition. She's skateboarding. She's doing pretty good from what we can tell. A lot better than Ryan.
Yeah.
And then the San Franpsycho bursts through the floor of the ramp and just attacks. I think he like wrapped his seaweed around her leg or something.
Yeah.
And just dragged her across the ramp. I'm like, holy shit. Like, why? You are assaulting people. Like, what even are you trying to do? I get that this person is, we're not going to say who it is just yet, but I get that the person is trying to ruin the competition, but you're literally just assaulting the participants. What the fuck did they ever do to you?
I don't know.
I'm really just confused about this person's motive in this mystery. But after that happens, I think the festivities were kind of canceled for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And the gang starts to suspect that maybe the San Franpsycho is just specifically targeting participants of the competition. That's when Julian rides up to them again. And he says that he can give them more information about the San Franpsycho if they give him $1. So Daphne, being rich Daphne, she could spare $1. She gives him $1. She was really pissed about that, though.
Well, because the dude was an ass.
He is an ass.
He goes, I can tell you about the San Franpsycho for $1. And so Daphne's like, fuck you. And so she like slaps $1 and he goes, he's from right over there.
He points to the Alcatraz penitentiary.
Like, he's just a fucking ass. Like,
really?
You made a whole $1. Like, fuck off.
He tells them the story of the San Franpsycho. He's the ghost of a former prisoner of Alcatraz named Clint Morris. Apparently, back in 1963, Clint escaped the prison, and I think he tried to make it off of the island by boat or something, and somehow he got eaten by a shark.
Basically.
But the only remains that they ever found of him was his hand, which was also a hook or something like that. Was that what it was?
I think that they said, he said that I think the only thing they found was his right hand. And so so that's why he has a hook for a hand now, because, pirates,
That's a really, specific detail.
Yeah, I don't know. But so, because he said something about his right hand, and in the video that, we were watching the flashback, and, the right cufflink fell to the ground. Which I think
that's what it was.
I think the reason why was because they couldn't have a hand float to the bottom. This is still a kid's cartoon.
It's still supposed to be PG.
And so but it was supposed to be his right hand.
That makes sense.
Was the only thing found.
I looked it up because Julian says that this occurred in 1963, and I can never keep straight the history of Alcatraz because I don't care. But but Alcatraz Penitentiary closed in 1963, the same year that Clint Morris escaped. If he had just waited a little longer, because it closed in March of 1963. So if he probably waited a month or two, he probably would have been transferred to another prison and then would have been able to easily escape by then.
Here's my thing. The way that the island looked, I'm thinking it had to have been maybe a few weeks before it closed.
In the flashback?
March. Yeah, because it's there wasn't any snow, the water wasn't frozen or anything. So it wasn't January.
It was probably February.
It was probably February to March.
Yeah. And so, I said, it closed in March.
Yeah, so dude, just wait. Literally
they had to have known too.
Wait 14 days.
You'll be able to escape whatever place you're transferred to next.
If you can escape Alcatraz, I guarantee you can escape whatever prison they're about to send you to.
Yeah, so just a fun fact that I wanted to throw out there in regards to that.
Just to let you know how stupid this guy was.
Julian does offer to take the gang to Alcatraz because he apparently has a license to do nighttime tours at Alcatraz.
But he's not going to.
He's not going to. He defends this stance by saying that, fun fact, 12% of boat owners live on their boats. How is that at all a defense?
I don't know.
So he waits out on his boat while the gang goes into the prison. I like that they're just able to enter the building, without supervision. I get that Julian is supposed to be the supervision, but, don't you think the building would be locked?
I have a feeling he probably, handed them
the keys.
Yeah, the key, whatever.
That's a lot of trust that he should not be allowed to give them.
He's just straight up look, I'm supposed to go in there with you, but there's a psycho on the loose, so I'm gonna stay right here. take the keys, do what you gotta do.
I just don't think that these tours are that unsupervised, because when we saw the gang visit Alcatraz and I Left My Neck in San Francisco, like, they were also kind of separated from the guards a lot while they were there.
And I think Alcatraz is supposed to be, like, super uber haunted.
That too.
So, like, you're not supposed to let people wander around super haunted places by themselves.
I don't get it.
Like, that's how you get more haunted, because people are gonna die.
Aside from the potential paranormal activity that happens there, like, this is still, like, a historical landmark, kind of. And I just don't really feel like people would just be allowed to dilly-dally and wander around the place like that.
Well, and especially since, like, he doesn't really know the gang. This is the first time he's met them. They could be a bunch of hoodlums.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't get it. While they're looking around the prison, they do get attacked by the San Franpsycho. I don't get how he got there.
I don't know.
Unless he, like, took that Bay Patrol boat.
Maybe he took the Bay Patrol boat.
Like, is that why the boat's there?
That would make a lot of sense.
Because I was wondering who that boat belonged to.
So that would make sense.
If it belonged to the Bay Patrol, fine, but, like, there's no one on the island otherwise.
I mean, because I think that, like, sometimes islands or whatever will have, like, an extra boat permanently there in case something happens to your boat.
Mm-hmm. Well, aside from that,
I don't know, it just sounds weird.
Still not revealing who the San Franpsycho is yet, but I also just don't believe that this person would have been able to break into Alcatraz like that. Because the gang do discover the cell that looks like it's been lived in. So evidently the San Franpsycho has been frequenting this place.
Maybe they also have a key. I'm trying to think of how they'd get a key, but that's the only explanation I can come up with.
But aside from that, why even go there? Like, you're not doing anything on the island that's important to your plot.
The only thing I can think of is maybe, like, they're living at Alcatraz so that if someone sees them come and go, then it's more believable because they're coming and going from Alcatraz. But even so, like, it just doesn't make sense to me, because why would the ghost really care if you were having Grimes games
by
the island? You know what I mean?
The ghost has no motive to really be here as the persona of the ghost.
Yeah. Like, the persona of the ghost would either be, like,
mad that he died.
Yeah, like, stuck at the bottom of the ocean or stuck on Alcatraz, depending on, like, where the spirit wants to connect.
Like, there's no reason for it to be pissed about this skateboarding competition.
If anything, it's going to be more mad at the Red People group. Because they're there every fucking weekend playing their shitty music.
The Red Persons Troupe is amazing.
They suck. I'm pretty sure we both wrote it down as a note that they suck. So, yeah.
I feel like San Francisco, as portrayed in this episode, just demonstrates that everyone who lives there has no talent. Like, Ryan sucks at skateboarding. Julian just sucks as a person. And the Red Persons Troupe is just...
There's something else. I mean, the thing is, I've always wanted to go to San Francisco just to see it and, like, you know, Full House and, like, all that. And, like, after watching this, I'm like, fuck, do I really want to go?
There's nothing to see. Because
everybody sucks.
And you don't want to go on a tour of Alcatraz because we've seen 2 instances now where it's been haunted.
It's not going to end well.
But when they find the cell that's looked like it's been lived in, they find this, I guess it's a brochure or a booklet magazine, and it's like advertising the grind games, and it has pictures of all the participants, including Ryan.
Okay. There's X's on all the people's faces in the brochure of
Yeah.
all of the people that are
playing in the game.
In the game. So why are there X's on people's pictures when they haven't even gotten to those people yet? And specifically, why would they cross off Ryan's picture?
I think it's just to throw everybody off.
I don't think they're that smart.
Okay. I mean, I get your idea about, like, why is everyone being X'd off when you haven't even attacked everybody yet?
Yeah.
But I do understand why they crossed out Ryan.
Like, I get it, but, I mean, at the same time, like, if you're not, like, it looks more like a hit list. And so if you just haven't gotten to Ryan yet, you haven't gotten to, like, these specific people yet, you know, so just don't cross them off yet.
You still have to attack them.
Yeah. Like, you're just crossing off everybody like you already killed them all. You've only gotten Rich Girlie and that other girl.
We don't know if Rich Girlie was related to this.
Rich Girlie is dead. Get over it.
They do discover that Julian's boat is now leaving the island, and it shows the San Franpsycho driving it.
Yeah.
So they think that it's Julian for a second. So now they're stranded, and that's when Fred looks over and he says, "No problem, gang. I suspect that this strange boat-like shape under this tarp is really a boat." He pulls off the tarp, and it actually is a boat. To which Velma says,
"Keen logic, Freddy." But I love that. Like, I like that they call him Freddy, because it's just like, it gives that twist to it to be like she's like, you know, keen logic, Freddy. But you know it's not, like, really an insult because she called him Freddy. Like, if she was like, keen logic, Fred, it'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But, like, because she says Freddy, it, like, shows, like, they are all best friends.
They all
and, like,
fuck with each other.
Yeah, so it's just like, I'm fucking with you, but I still love you. Like, good idea, cool.
Well, I made this note in the last What's New Scooby-Doo episode we watched. Like, Velma and Fred are always... Well, Velma is always picking on Fred.
That's like you and me.
Kind of. So the gang hop in this boat, and they take it off of the island. And while they're leaving, you know, the bay is really active. There's waves everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we see sharks.
15 of them.
There are 15 sharks, and they start circling the boat after the gang discovers that the boat is beginning to sink because I guess there's a leak in it.
Yeah.
So this is already a just terrifying situation on its own. But I feel like they wouldn't be allowed to, like, drive boats like this out in the bay if sharks were this big of a problem.
Like, if they're that aggressive.
Which they're not. Sharks are not like this.
No, sharks are so not aggressive.
But in this case, they're all out for the gang.
Like, I don't know,
They chase the gang.
Like, sharks don't do that.
They put the boat in, like, heavy metal, and they're just going. The sharks are all racing after them. And now it looks like the quantity of the sharks just kind of doubled because
it looked like
so
there were
many
30 sharks. Like, at one point, Fred's, like, turning the boat, and you see all these sharks following him. And I forgot to pause it, so I couldn't count. But I swear that there's, like, 30. Like, there's, like, 30 fins in the water. And I'm just like, that would never happen in real life.
At one point, Velma says, "We're going to make it." And then the shark, like, bites the back of the boat off.
And she goes, "Ah, irony. So we meet again."
Velma just does not sound like she trusts the universe in general.
Velma was not having a good day this day. She didn't really want to go to the grime games.
No.
She doesn't
I mean,
care.
I don't want to go to the grime games, so I get it.
I was very in sync with Velma today.
The boat sinks, ultimately. But the gang hop on the sharks to get to shore because they're just so close, I guess. They do make it to shore safely, miraculously, because like if I were in that situation, I would have died.
Oh, I would have 100. There's not any logical way to jump on a shark, specifically 3 of them in a row, and still make it to land. Like, I just...
Honestly, when they were stopped, when the boat was sinking, and the sharks were surrounding it, I would have just given up.
Like, literally, all these holes start popping out, and Derek, you go... So they're just going to die? I'm like, well, no, if you can paddle the water out faster than it comes in, you're okay. And you're like, no, we'd be dead. I'm like, okay. Not ever getting on a boat with you, thanks.
Plus, there's also sharks circling the boat.
Like, I'd be really trying not to die at this point, but cool, you're just going to give up.
There's 15 sharks there, Shannon.
If you can paddle out the water faster than it comes in, you're okay.
I took note that Velma tossed a lifesaver into one of their mouths and it just ate it. And then Daphne took an oar or something and just whacked one of the sharks.
Daphne goes... Like, something about get away from the boat and try a breath mint. I was like, what the fuck?
The shark isn't insulted.
The shark doesn't understand you.
If anything, it's now more mad. You just smacked the fuck out of it with an oar.
And you stab it in the eye.
Did she?
No, that's what you're supposed to do. That makes sharks go away.
I was about to say, I don't remember that.
Like, she had a pointy stick, and instead of doing what you're supposed to do to make sharks go away, she whacks it in the head. Just poke it in the fucking eye, and it'll leave you alone. Like, are you kidding me?
This entire scene, though.
It was so obnoxious, I couldn't.
I'm in tears laughing about it. So... I guess now we transition to the next day. they arrive at the grind games again.
Yeah.
I assume they're staying at a hotel nearby.
Or in the van. 12% of van owners live in their van.
No, that was the Pope statistic. We didn't see the van this episode. We didn't see the Mystery Machine this episode at all.
Huh.
Fun fact.
That's not the fun fact for the week.
No, it's not, but fun fact.
But fun fact.
Hey, I'm being Julian right now.
Do I owe you $1? I don't have it. I'm poor.
The gang is just telling Ryan that, the competition's really dangerous right now, and Ryan says, but we can't cancel. It's rooted in tradition. Yeah, it's a long-standing tradition. It's grind games, too.
So you've done it last year and this year.
It did, a little sound effect after he said that, which is kind of like, ha-ah. It was just kind of like the drum.
Yeah. I don't know.
The gang notices that one of the judges, the female one that gave Ryan the 10 out of 10, she's getting some art painted on her arm. It shows a skateboarder, and then she lifts her sleeve a little bit, and the gang realizes that it says Ryan. So now we'll give it away. The female judge is the San Franpsycho.
She's in love with Ryan.
Which weirds me out, because I know that their ages aren't, explicitly given, but I just feel like Ryan is, a 15-year-old kid. Based on his height and his voice.
And his mannerisms, yeah.
I just feel like he's 15. And this woman who's judging this competition is definitely not a teenager.
No, she's at least 20.
So on top of the fact that you're just going around assaulting people, potentially murdering people, you're also a pedophile. Great!
It happens.
But aside from that, I feel like she's supposed to just be generally non-biased. Don't you think that should have been a question when they were interviewing judges? What are her credentials?
I want to know how she became a judge.
Right, what are her credentials to judge this competition?
Since you guys now know who the judge is, I'll tell you her motive. She was the bad guy because initially she said girls couldn't be in the competition, and then Ryan's like, well, no, girls compete. And they were like, well, they wouldn't let me in. It's because she sucks.
Right.
So I'm assuming she auditioned to be in this. They said no, and then she said, okay, well, can I be a judge? And they were like, sure.
Right. How does that follow? Doesn't that also kind of make you biased?
That's why she thinks that Ryan's awesome. Because she sucks, too.
So she just thinks, yeah, because Ryan sucks.
Yeah.
Ryan sucks ass.
So, there you go.
Yeah, now that you're saying it, I didn't even think about the fact that, she did audition for this competition. She didn't get in, and they let her judge it now?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't. I'm very confused.
Last year, I judged a talent show. I didn't audition to be in the talent show. And I feel like if I did, I would not have been allowed to be a judge.
And not that you're not talented, but I'm not sure that you were, qualified to judge a talent show.
Again, I just don't get why this girl was allowed to judge this competition that she wasn't even allowed to be in.
Yeah. It was stupid.
I feel like if you auditioned for it, you're no longer eligible to be a judge for it.
Yeah.
That's when we see the gang now turn and we see Julian, who, they're pissed at Julian because he kind of abandoned them on the island.
You
or at least
left
that's what they
me
think.
on Alcatraz.
Right. And they almost died.
Yeah, you left me in Alcatraz with the only way to get home in a boat with a fuck ton of holes and 15 to 30 man-eating sharks after me. Fuck you.
I don't even care if you weren't responsible for this. Fuck you,
Well,
man.
because then... So they walk up to Julian and they're like, hey, man, fuck you. You left us there. And his response is, oh, the monster knocked me out. And when I woke up, I was at the fisherman's ward.
Which, fun fact,
was active until 1977.
I don't give a fuck. You left me on Alcatraz.
So my thing is, you woke up on the fisher's ward. Why wouldn't you go back to Alcatraz to find your fucking people that you left there?
I feel like you're legally responsible now.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got knocked out. I still feel like you're kind of responsible.
I could sue you. Probably.
Well, yeah, they could, because he wouldn't go into the building with them.
Yeah.
He let them go in alone.
Yeah.
Julian's in a lot of trouble if they can find him. Because we'll talk about that point in a little bit. But before they actually talk to him, we do overhear him tell these two people that, he's showing them around, that apparently the San Franpsycho has been spotted for the last 13 years. What?
Something like that. Like, he said... Okay, so, like, I thought he said that the San Franpsycho is 13 years old.
But that doesn't make sense. Like, does that mean the ghost has been sighted for the last 13 years? Or...
I was thinking maybe it was, like... I don't know.
Because you can't tell me that, like, the ghost has been around for the last 13 years because the character died 13 years ago, because that was in 1963.
Yeah.
That would place this in 1976.
When was this episode released?
Like 2003?
Yeah.
No. Well, no. Aside from that, no, that's not possible. He just told the gang that the Fisherman's Wharf was operating until 1977.
Yeah. I don't know. So
I don't get that point. That was weird.
It was a weird point, and the only thing I can think of is if the ghost has been spotted for the last 13 years, then I'm assuming there's other people dressing up as the ghost to, like, steal treasure or whatever. Like, we've seen a vast amount of things with, like, around doing something like that. So I'm assuming something else is going on.
So this isn't the only San Franpsycho that they're dealing with.
Like, in the town on the other side of
There's
Alcatraz.
unrelated San Franpsycho incidences happening in the city.
Yeah. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, I don't know. Either that or the judge lady has been prepping 13 years for this. Like, when Ryan turned 3, she was like, I know what I have to do. Like, there's not a logical response to this.
There are odd implications with that comment that Julian made.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know how to interpret that. So, the competition begins for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
The gang's walking to their seats, I guess, and there's a lot of people at this event.
Like, for this being, like, a ghostly event, people came back.
They came back for the grind games, which I don't really know, like, what the fellowship is for skateboarding, but I don't feel like it's this intense.
I mean, I know when we were growing up, there were a lot of skateboarders and, like...
Tony Hawk was big.
Yeah, so, I mean, and there were, like, video games for it, so I get that there's, like, a following for it.
But this was, like, intense. Like, there were a lot of people at this game.
Yeah. I was never into skateboarders.
Neither was I.
Like, some of them were cute, but that was as far as I ever went.
I just don't find the look cute.
No. Well, not anymore, especially. But
well, no, not anymore. But, like, even then, I didn't. No.
I think I had a crush on one skateboarder. I can't tell you. I don't remember what his name was. Barely remember what he looks like. But I remember... At the skate park down the road, there was a skateboarder, and we'd be like, he's cute.
Now, when they came back, did the San Franpsycho attack again?
So I think they were anticipating the San Franpsycho
Well, no,
attacking.
because we made a note that, like, everyone kind of just disappeared, because it did appear. This is when the chase scene happens.
Yeah.
I just don't remember there being another attack. Well, evidently, it did happen.
That was with Scoop, or Shaggy.
That's right, because Shaggy went undercover. That's right, yeah. Shaggy was an undercover skateboarder.
They were anticipating her attacking again. And so they were like, we're going to dress Shaggy up and he'll go skateboard.
We do discover that Shaggy is kind of good at skateboarding. He's not good.
Well, and Ryan did give us a very useful tip. If you have a choice between landing on your head and landing on your butt, choose your butt. I don't know if you often have a choice. I feel like it just kind of depends on what you did and how you're falling. I mean, those two things are, like, very far apart.
That too.
So I don't know how...
There's a large range for error here. But Shaggy is participating. He does good at first, and then he acknowledges that he's doing good, and then he's not.
Same.
So the San Franpsycho does attack. Everyone freaks out. That whole place just clears out. Everyone's just gone.
This, like, the monster just showed up, literally just showed up and went, ah! And everybody was like, gone. Like, it's day 2. We know how this is going to end. Bye.
So that's when the chase scene begins. So, you know, all the antics occur. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm just going to acknowledge that at one point, Scooby and Shaggy are face artists or, you know, body artists for a moment. And they have, like, little beards and glasses. And they offer to give the monster, like, some body art. I don't remember what they painted on him. Your finger motions are not helping me remember.
They put a big pink heart on his chest and wrote, "I love Mom."
Cute.
Me too.
I noted that during the entire chase scene, we do see the monster on the skateboard, and he's not good at it. Or she. Can't misgender. But, at least we're kind of seeing in episode that the skateboarder, or that the ghost is not a good skateboarder. Not that I would expect the ghost to be, because the ghost has nothing to do with skateboarding.
Exactly, that's why I'm like, she picked such the wrong monster.
Yeah. You could have done so many other things. Because apparently there's a legend about the lady vampire of the bay.
Yeah.
I don't get why the vampire would want... there's a lot of things that this girl could have chosen.
And, I think... if you want to get into detail with it, I think this episode would have been better for the Lady Vampire of the Bay. And I think the other Alcatraz one would have been better with this monster. Because they were actually on Alcatraz for this specific... or for the last episode. Mm-hmm. For this one, they dealt more with the Bay. It was right by the Bay. It makes sense.
It takes more in the city than it does take place on the island.
Exactly. So, this one, they literally have to, the only time that we see Alcatraz is when they go to try to get, information on what's going on. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, Alcatraz is non-existent. It's barely there. Right. So the monster is so wrong. She really could have even found, a dead skateboarder and just, dressed up as a Rick Girlie.
She could have been Rich Girlie.
She could have been Rich Girlie and just... haunted the fuck out of people that way. You know what I mean? She could have dressed up as, a dead Tony Hawk and just been oh, you're disgracing the name of...
Tony Hawk's not dead.
No, he's not. But I mean, But, you could have dressed up as, a dead famous skateboarder and just been you're disgracing skateboarding and, been an evil person, you know? It could have been anything else and you chose an Alcatraz guy? It didn't make any sense to me. I was very confused.
So after the chase scene is over, the gang encounter Hayes, the leader of the Red Persons Troupe. He's holding a saw, and he does look suggestively trying to sabotage the equipment and the sets of the grind games. The gang calls him out. Velma's what are you doing? And they're all just kind of hey.
What's going on?
What's going on, huh? What's that for?
And he gets really insulted, and he's I'm building a set for my people
because I have to, and blah blah blah. What?
And Fred's just what did he say? Something they're taking down the vert
tomorrow.
At the end. Yeah, tomorrow. And he's vert is not a word.
He was so triggered by that.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It was just he was so upset.
That word really insulted that man. For one, vert is a word. We looked it up. I think Fred used it wrong, but...
it's a green thing or something.
I don't know.
It was weird.
It wasn't used correctly.
So. It is a word, but Fred just used it wrong.
And aside from that, it reminded me of this girl I used to work with. She hated when people used to say tarp. And when Fred said tarp when he uncovered the boat on the island, it made me think of her. And then this happens, I'm oh my god, that's that girl I used to work with. Because she hated the word tarp. What word triggers you?
It used to be moist.
I remember that phase.
But I'm kind of over that. It's still not my favorite word, but it used to make me want to vomit. And because you'd just be you'd look right at me and just go moist, and I'd be I'm gonna go throw up. It just used to, I hated the word. I don't know, I don't think I have enough conversation right now to have a word that triggers me.
You don't talk anymore.
I don't talk anymore. This is my conversation. I sit at home and do nothing. I hang out with a 4-year-old all day. She doesn't say words that trigger me.
You finish podcasting, you go home, and you don't talk for 7 days.
The only other person I talk to is a 4-year-old and Stephanie. So, I don't think the 4-year-old is saying much to trigger me.
After the gang's done accusing Hayes of what he's doing, and he just kind of retorts, he like finishes the conversation by hopping on a unicycle and just rides away. And I'm just like, that's the most fuck you kind of way of just leaving a scene.
Oh, I know. I want to learn how to unicycle just so I can do that. Just be like, fuck you, and unicycle off.
I don't remember what the context was, but Shaggy called the San Franpsycho the San Fran Nutball.
Okay, so we were trying to figure out, because Shaggy's been like messing up, making up, changing the names of the monsters, right?
Because he called Old Iron Face like all kinds of names. He called him Old Iron Puss and
he changed
shit
the
like
name
that.
Every single time he said it.
Yeah.
So I decided that it's a defense mechanism because he's just so scared.
Oh, it's a coping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's coping.
He's so terrified of everything, and this is the only way, is to make the name something that's not so scary.
Interesting theory.
Because psycho,
I like it, yeah.
Psycho is a really scary word.
Yes.
But like, Dumbo isn't a scary word.
Or San Fran Nutball.
Yeah, not so scary.
Yeah. So now the gang splits up in order to investigate some of their suspects. So Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby go to follow Hayes and, investigate the Red Persons Troupe. Meanwhile, Fred, Daphne, and Ryan, they invite Ryan along. They go to investigate Julian. So we first see Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby. They follow Hayes back to his group. They're performing on stage, like, this little thing to these two people. Like, what are these two people doing?
I don't know.
Why are they there to watch the Red Persons Troupe?
I'm not gonna lie, though. Could you imagine us going somewhere and, like, that'd be us?
We're the people watching the Red Persons Troupe?
Like, somebody would be like, hey, there's this really shitty group performing, and you and I would be like, let's go. That's exactly what we would do.
But they're not there for that. I kind of think they're there because they think that's high culture.
I mean, it's San Francisco. Who's to say that's not high culture there?
But they suck. Because Hayes goes to do a cartwheel and then he just falls on his ass. Yeah. And then gets back up and pretends like nothing happened. I mean, I guess he's continuing his performance. Unlike
Ryan. He's better than Ryan.
Because Ryan wiped out and he was just done.
He's better than Ryan.
So they go into his, I guess, mobile home or something.
Yeah.
In his van. And they start looking around. They discover red paint. So they kind of put together, he has makeup, which they're using because they're all painted red. But I guess he's also capable of, disguising himself if he needed to, as, say, the San Franpsycho. That's when they see Hayes coming. He's riding his unicycle to the van.
Yeah.
I guess that's his main form of transportation.
I guess.
So they all, panic and they accidentally spill the red makeup all over themselves. And it's all over the van, too. And Hayes comes in. He's like, what are you guys doing? He calls them a muss or moss or something. So, he thinks that they're people he knows. They're part of the group. I like that Hayes didn't notice all the makeup. They're, all over the floor.
Maybe that's how he gets ready, too. He's just he just walks outside, dumps some red paint on him, and moves on with his life.
No, I imagine him just dumping it all over the floor, and then he just rolls in it. Meanwhile, Fred, Daphne, and Ryan, I almost said Velma because I'm so used to saying them three together. But Fred, Daphne, and Ryan, they're following Julian. Julian chains his bike cart to this, pole. They're following him by tiptoeing. Mm-hmm. They're just walking really slowly and silently. And Ryan says, gee, thanks for inviting me along, guys. Undercover work is so cool. What do you call this maneuver we're doing?
Tiptoeing.
Fred just looks back and says it just so innocently too. He's just tiptoeing.
He loves Ryan. That's what that is. He loves Ryan. He's this little boy is the greatest. We can't destroy his innocence. It's tiptoeing. When you talk to a little kid and you're like, oh yeah. I kind of more figure it as he's trying to make everything that they do sound like so a professional thing that they do on a day-to-day basis. We're professional tiptoers.
Yes. Are we?
Fair.
Are you and I?
I try, but both of my parents walk like elephant feet, so I feel like it's just
They do.
in my
I hear
genes.
it all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always afraid to record at your house.
Because they walk so loud. My mom's whole side of the family does it, and so I feel like it's in my genes. I don't think that I walk that loud because I am self-aware of it, and so I try to not.
I try not to just because I have somebody living below me.
Exactly. I always feel weird stomping around.
Yeah. So Ryan sees Julian get on a road trolley. He gets on the trolley, and then Fred, like, split second, decides to hop on the trolley and follow him.
Because we're not going to lose him again.
We're not going to lose him again. He hops on, and we lost him again. Yeah, he's gone. This is the last time we see Julian. So we never see him again.
We do have a theory, but I want to go through this whole scene before we talk about the theory.
Okay. So when Fred gets on, the San Franpsycho attacks. So it's supposed to be a red herring of you thinking that Julian is the San Franpsycho. He attacks, and he, like, basically busts the trolley, so now it's kind of running on its own down the track. It's not being controlled by any brakes or anything like that, so it's just running out of control. Daphne and Ryan panic, and they hop on this cart that they just find outside of this store because it's there and it's convenient. Ryan basically rides it like a skateboard. Mm-hmm. Was Daphne wearing a helmet?
Yeah. So
where did she get that helmet?
Ryan handed it to her.
Where did he get that helmet?
Maybe he's related to Flim Flam.
They just pull shit out of their pockets. So they hop on the car and they just go after the trolley. They try a bunch of different things to try and, like, you know, prevent the trolley from crashing into anybody or, you know, being destroyed.
Well, and Ryan starts, like, yelling things at Fred, like, do a side swiper. And Fred's like, a what? And I'm like, that'd be you and me. Like, we'd be like, a what? Like, can you just...
I wouldn't even be mad. I'd just be like, I don't know what that is.
Like, thanks for trying to help me, but I'm just gonna die. Like, thanks.
They all... Fred and all of the people that are on the trolley, they're all scared. They do this thing where they go to the very back of the trolley and they, like, jump. And when they jump and then land, it, like, causes the trolley to, like, break a little bit because the brake's been broken. Fred tried to use the emergency brake and it broke off.
And, like, you know, when you want to, like, stop on a skateboard, you lean back and, like, let it, you know, let the bottom, like, ride to slow you down. So that's what they're attempting to do.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. My thought was, where's Spider-Man when you need him?
Right. I was thinking about, was that Spider-Man 2?
I think, yeah. Because, like, there's that whole thing with the train. I mean, almost the exact same scene is, like, Spider-Man's on the back and he's, like, holding the web and, like, trying to stop the train.
I have to look this up. When did that movie come out?
2002, I think.
2004. That movie stole this from Scooby-Doo.
Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. Like, they were watching Scooby-Doo. Stan Lee, bless him, was watching Scooby-Doo and was like, I could put a Spider-Man on the front of that.
But they managed to get off of the trolley, and then the trolley just crashes into the bay. So, I mean, at least everyone's safe, but Julian's gone. So, did he get off of the trolley?
Okay, so the whole thing was, as that whole thing is happening, I refuse to believe that someone didn't die. Because, like, a lot happened. Like,
we skipped over a lot of the details. Like, they avoided cars.
Yeah, like, there was, like, that scene was very, like...
At one point, they kind of did a wheelie. Like,
yeah. Like,
it was insane.
A lot. So right when it ended, when everybody got off safely, and then the trolley, like, falls into the ocean, I was like, no. You cannot convince me otherwise. Like, somebody definitely died during that. Well, we later find out, via us, we decided it was Julian. Julian died. Because...
This is the last... We never saw him after he got on the trolley.
Well, and we know that he has a head injury via the...
Oh, because we got knocked out by the San Franpsycho.
And so when you get knocked out, if you have a concussion, you're prone to pass out again. You know, you have to be careful and you have to go to the doctor and make sure you're going to be okay.
So he passed out on the trolley and just no one saw him.
No one saw him. And now he's at the bottom of the ocean and he's dead. So who died? It was Julian.
And Rich Girlie.
R.I.P.
We got back to...
They're going to be the next ghosts that we see. In the next Alcatraz, they're going to be the next ghosts. Julian is the bay, is the vampire of the bay.
Hashtag find Rich Girlie. Hashtag find Mule.
We don't really care about Julian. He was kind of a con artist, but hashtag find Rich Girlie.
That's the only thing I care about.
Like, this poor kid was just trying to do a kickflip and, like, he died.
So we cut back to Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby. They've now, you know, pretending to be part of the troupe. They're doing this performance, and Hayes says that they're going to do a performance. Velma says that she hopes that it's the disappearing act, but it actually turns out they're doing a human pyramid. And what did she say? She basically said, why do I even hope anymore? So they attempt to do it, and when they're doing it, the people who are supposed to be there, the members of the troupe that are supposed to be there, they show up and they're like, sorry, we're late, Hayes. And he's just like, what? And then Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby just escape, and then everybody falls.
Yeah.
I mean...
It was weird.
So now the gang is coming up with a plan in order to trap the San Franpsycho. Fred has Velma make a magnetic helmet, and Velma's just like, here you go, I don't really know why you need it. And Daphne's like, you mean you didn't ask? And she says, I've learned not to question.
I mean, like, I really like that because that's just so much of, like, one of two things. How often does Fred ask for things that Velma, like, is just at this point, like, whatever, I'll make it for you? Versus, like, she's like, you know, I'm not even going to question because I know it's going to come in handy later.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's
like,
your magnetic
whatever.
helmet.
It might come in handy, like, 3 years from now, whatever, here.
So I guess Shaggy is skateboarding again? Maybe we got that wrong. I don't really remember. I just remember that Shaggy is now on a skateboard again, and he breaks through, like, metal pipes as if they're, like, made of wood.
Yeah. He broke through them pretty easily.
Somehow Scooby wound up on the skateboard when the San Franpsycho attacked. Fred tries to use the magnetic helmet in order to capture the ghost because his hook is made out of metal. But then Fred accidentally gets magnetically attracted to a van that's passing by, so his head's just hanging off of a van. Bye, Fred.
Bye, have a good life. R.I.P. Fred.
Right. So Scooby is now carrying the San Franpsycho because he accidentally crashed into him. They're riding, and then Scooby, like, launches him into some kind of a booth, and he crashes through the booth. And yay, they captured him. They go to unmask him, and it's a her. It turns out that it was the female judge. We've been calling her the female judge, and I feel bad because she does have a name. I looked it up.
I don't care about it.
Her name is Rudy Banez.
Okay.
Rudy was trying to ruin the competition because she wasn't allowed to compete.
Okay, I have one question. She's a judge.
Yes.
How did the other judges not notice that, like, she would just disappear in the middle of competition?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, you're just sitting there judging, and all of a sudden one judge disappears, and you're like, oh, where'd she go? Oh, psycho.
Right. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I just think it's funny that she argues that the reason she thinks that she wasn't allowed to compete was because she's a girl. But, like, Ryan immediately names off, like, 3 girls that are participating. Well, and she attacked a girl.
Yeah, one of the girls is a girl that she attacked. Like...
So, that's just you trying to pull a feminism argument. Like, no, it's just because you suck. Because she does. They give her a skateboard to try and skate on, and she falls on her ass.
And then throughout the episode, like you said, she'll hop on a skateboard every once in a while, and she still sucks.
Right.
So it's, like, consistent throughout the episode. You're not good at it.
Right. So now the competition continues the next day. I think it's the last day of the competition.
Yeah. And
now the gang are the judges.
I mean, I just feel bad for the other 2 judges because they didn't do anything wrong,
right,
and
like,
they lost their
fired?
job. Like,
but then why does the gang have the credentials to...
Apparently they just don't care.
Well, you know, maybe Ryan appointed them as such because you know how earlier in the episode he said that the show must go on, like they can't just cancel the competition?
Yeah.
For some reason that gave me the impression that, like, he's in charge. And I don't know why. I don't think it's true.
Why is a 14-year-old in charge?
Exactly. But evidently it's okay for the gang who have no prior knowledge of skateboarding to judge this competition.
Yeah.
Scooby's rating system is from 1 to do, and then he says Scooby-Dooby-Doo. My last note for the episode is just that Julian died. So...
my last note was how many points is do worth?
I'm going to have to think about this, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
So, how does this episode rate for you on the Scooby Snackometer?
I gave it a 5.
A 5, okay.
We laughed a lot. I enjoyed the one-liners, but it wasn't my favorite. I thought it was kind of stupid.
Okay. I gave it a 6 myself.
Okay.
I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, we laughed a lot.
Especially, like, discussing this episode. I think that it was really funny just pointing out all the weird things that happened in it. I don't want to give it a 5 because I don't feel neutral about it. Like, I don't think it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I also just don't believe it belongs just in the middle. I think it had entertainment value to where it can be a 6. There were funny one-liners in it, like the tiptoeing gag and the weird things that Julian would spout out, like the 63 mile per hour bullshit.
Like, I was thinking 6 at first, and then, like, it was just, like the ghost had no reason to be there, and that was my biggest issue. Otherwise, like, the entire episode was hilarious, whatever. But, like, we needed a different monster.
Okay.
Literally
That's
anything
a good point.
else.
Yeah, because the monster was kind of out of touch with
like,
what he was trying to do, or she was trying to do.
Yeah, even if they went back and visited and just did, like, the Vampire of the Bay again, like, I would have rathered that.
Okay.
It would have
That's
been
a good
stupid.
point.
But, like, anything, because Alcatraz, there was no point in even having Alcatraz be in this episode.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Because, like, there wasn't a need for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with your 5 and my 6, we collectively give this episode a 5.5 on the Scooby Snack-O-Meter.
Woohoo!
So, are you ready for the fun fact of the week?
Okay.
Did you know that Daphne's dad has had 4 different first names in the entirety of the Scooby-Doo franchise?
Has he really?
Yes, he has. One of the first notable names, which I actually learned from Scoobypedia, because I'm doing some current research for a separate Scooby-Doo project, but Scoobypedia informed me that he went by the name Jonathan in these books that were released in the 1980s.
Okay.
He is referred to as Nedley multiple times in the cartoons. His name is also given as George in the Scooby-Doo's behind-the-scenes look at Scooby-Doo, as well as in the Scooby Apocalypse comics. His name is George. His name also goes as Ned in the Scooby Apocalypse comics. I don't really know why they are having issues with the consistency in there, but he has both names in that. And in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated timeline, his name is Barty.
All right.
So they can never get his name straight, but he at least has a name.
Maybe we should decide on what his name is.
Okay. Well, I think that probably the most definitive one is Nedley. I think that's the most commonly referred to name for him.
Okay.
So he goes by Jonathan, Nedley, Barty, or George. So next week we're going to be watching an episode from Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, Shannon's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
We do watch this series chronologically because there is a plot to the story.
I don't know what it is, but
it's there. I guarantee it's there.
Okay.
So the episode that we're going to be reviewing next week is
More Fondue for Scooby-Doo.
The premise for this episode is coming from Scoobypedia. The guys crash an international global warming conference in Mount Zerio del Wheaton after learning through a message from Uncle Albert that Dr. Phibes plans to melt a glacier with his laser over it. When Dr. Phibes finds out that Shaggy and Scooby are there, he hires Misty Swiss and her dog Carla to get rid of the boys before they can stop it.
Are they going to fall in love?
I guess we'll see.
Oh.
I don't remember this, so I really couldn't tell you one way or the other.
Scooby is going to fall in love with Carla.
I can't wait.
It's going to be stupid.
So if you guys want to talk about the San Franpsycho episode, or this episode we're talking about next week, or really just anything Scooby-Doo for that matter, you can find us online. We are on Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast, or you can email us directly at thatgroovyscoobcast@gmail.com.
You can also check out our website at www.thatgroovyscoobcast.com.
We have all sorts of cool content there. We upload our episodes every single week, and we also feature our different reports and some of the cool things that we're always giving away, so be sure to visit that. And with that, we hope that you enjoyed That Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for a Scooby snack-filled time.
Bye, guys.
Bye!